What's up? This is Charlotte Sands, and you're in the mix with HK. Hi.
Hey there. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. Nice to see you.
You too.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, man, we've got so much to talk about. Okay, you write a song about Harry Styles wearing a dress while Harry Styles is number one on the chart. Then you enter the top 40 on the very same chart, all without a label. Mind blown. Let's talk about that.
Thanks. It's really crazy. I keep feeling like it's a prank, so it's all good things. Um, yeah, I mean, we wrote that song around like the same time that the cover came out, and it was about we brought up Harry Styles in the conversation, and that was definitely a big factor of the song. But so much of it was also just about how as I've grown up, how my type has changed and how I've viewed like confidence and how confidence isn't necessarily like masculinity. It's completely feeling free to express yourself and feeling confident to express yourself in whatever way that is to you. And I
Right,
think that
right.
that's shifted so much to me over the last years. And yeah, there's so many incredible artists that have kind of pushed like societal norms and like gender norms, and like obviously like David Bowie and like incredible people that have been doing that for so long. But now there's like such current artists like Harry Styles and Youngblood and like all these people that are now doing that for these generations, which I think is like just really really incredible. And it's really fun to be able to watch and also just be able to be near it all. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, yeah. And kind of speaking of that multi-generational thing, I love your songs because they reflect kind of a wide sonic palette and influence. So walk me through where that's all coming from.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's always confusing for people. People are always like, "What's your genre?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." I'm like, "These are just all my favorite things." I mean, I grew up on like Alanis Morissette and Grace Potter, Sheryl Crow, like all the Bonnie Raitt is like my favorite artist of all time. So I definitely grew up on like a lot of like female singer songwriters.
Hmm.
And then when I was in like middle school and I was like starting to like write music more and actually like create and produce songs, I was like, oh, these songs are really fun, but I don't like performing them live. This isn't the kind of music I want to perform live. And then I was like, okay, how do I create music I want to perform live? And I found bands like All Time Low and The Maine and Taking Back Sunday and Green Day and all these bands that I was like, oh, these shows are so incredible. Like, I
Yeah.
want to be an artist that people need to want to climb over a fence to get into their show. And that is, so I was like, how do I blend those things together? And it was like keeping the quality of like lyricism and the story and like really putting the emphasis in like the lyrics, but also creating a song where people, no matter what it's about, people can feel good um and like jump up and down and have this like insane energetic show and not have to sacrifice
Yeah.
anything to have it, you know. So
Yeah.
that's kind of been where I'm at. But it's like forever trying to figure it out. I really do have so many influences that are just all over the map. I mean, I literally listen to every kind of music. I love rap. I love like everything. It's so weird, and so it's really hard to try and like put it in a box for me. It's probably easier for everyone else, but for me, I'm just like, I don't know. Is it folk? Is it pop? I don't know.
I love that though, and I think you can get away with that now. I think it was different for our parents and our grandparents. It's like if you grew up, with Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett, that's what you listened to. And if you grew up
Right.
with classic rock, it seems like, that's what people were still listening to 25, 30 years later. People who grew up in the 70s, they still like listening to classic rock. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not besmirching it in any way, but I feel like, people who have grown up with the internet are exposed to so much more music, and I get it. Our parents and our grandparents didn't have YouTube and Spotify and TikTok and all of and all of this stuff. So I think we now as a collective society is just exposed to so much more that your taste can be far more diversified than just this narrow thing you grew up with.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny. Like I think that we just have so many, it's exactly that. There's so many platforms for discovery. And I don't think that people had a lot of platforms for discovery. Like it was
Right.
always like you buy the CDs you like, but no one's going to go spend money on a random CD that they've never heard and they
Exactly.
don't know the
Right.
artist. And now we have Spotify where that literally creates playlists just to introduce you to new artists, and we have YouTube that literally just shuffles new videos so that you can find random videos you've never seen before. Like that is the point of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it 100% is just we have access to a discovery that we just never that nobody else ever had, which is so cool. And really, I mean, I find so much music that way and so much music that I love. So yeah, it's a really cool thing. I've been saying it like for a while now. I really am grateful to be like making music at this time because I think the artist is now the genre, and people get behind the artist and support the artist and are like they want to be a part of their like see where they go and are on like get on the train, and then they're like, oh cool, Taylor Swift put out a folk album, oh cool, Taylor Swift is putting out could have put out a rock album, anything she's
Uh,
doing. They don't care about the genre of it, they just are excited about the artist creating something. And that's kind of the goal for me is like I hopefully get to a place where whatever I feel like creating and whatever kind of music I feel like making, at that time people will support it because I'm making it.
right.
um,
Right.
which is like the ultimate privilege of like any
Yeah,
creator, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. It's a privilege, and it's also the cool thing about being creative. And now your fans can just kind of go along with you on that journey. Once they buy into you as an artist, it's definitely it's all about them. Okay, what are you going to bring with me? But that's kind of hard for an artist too at times because it's like when you develop this following that you've spent so long working hard on, for it's I know as a DJ in the clubs and also as a producer remixer myself, sometimes you always want to challenge yourself when you're a creative, but then the question comes, oh, am I going to alienate my audience? So it's kind of like trying that, success will, this is kind of the backlash of success. There's that point that will come where then you're like, at least for me, I'm like afraid, do I change or so it's trying to follow your passion, do what you want to do, but then all those insecurities come into play. Oh, are
Yeah.
they going to stay with me? Am I going to lose them?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that's how I feel like every single time I release a song. And if it does well, it's almost like, oh, darn, now I have to like do it. Now I have to do it again. And I mean, and I don't put a lot of pressure on myself. I genuinely only release music that I'm like, oh, I like listening to this. Like, this is cool. I want to perform this live, so I'm going to release it. That's kind of how my brain works.
Yeah.
But there is so much of the more successful you get, the better you feel like everything has to be. So then you're like, okay, well now we have to top the next video, and now we have to top the next song, and it really does feel like you're constantly just competing with yourself
Yeah.
and competing with like your past self, and that's really hard. You just also I know, knowing me, I just want everyone to be proud. Like I just want people to be like, that's our girl, and it's really hard to like hold that weight for a lot of people, and a lot of people that you don't really know that could support you either way, or you know what I mean, or won't support you either way. So it's kind of like a hard thing to do. I think a lot of it is just giving it to like the universe and letting it
Yeah.
happen, and just know that I'm going to grow and I'm going to learn and I'm going to change, and hopefully there will be people that stick through it with me, and then if they don't, then they don't.
Yeah, yeah. You be you. You got to, yeah,
Yeah,
you got, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. You be you, and if they come along for the ride, great. Maybe some will
Yeah.
get off
Happy to
along
have
the
you.
way and then come back. That's okay. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm happy to have anybody that wants to come hang out.
What would you consider your first big break in the music industry? What was a
um,
turning point for you?
I think that like honestly, when I feel like the year before Dress was like my personal like big break, because like a week before COVID, I played my first headlining show ever. And I played it in Nashville, and I just expected to sell like 20 tickets to my friends and all this stuff. And we ended up selling out the venue. And it was like the first moment where I was like, oh, this is like something's changing, because I wouldn't have been able to do this last year. Like there
Yeah.
was something was happening. And it was before I got like any really support in on like playlists and that kind of stuff. So it was just like a really organic thing, and I was really proud of that. Um, and then in during like quarantine, when we wrote Dress, I after like posting that song and it went like viral on TikTok, and I remember it was so funny because it was kind of my moment for like the industry, you know, but for me, I was just like, what is happening and what does this mean? Like it makes no sense to me. So it didn't feel like that to me. Um, but I think that like I don't know, I think there was like this credibility that was like, oh, okay, so you've already been making this music. You're not a TikTok artist who like, or somebody who started making music on TikTok and then it's just like now it's viral. Like I've been doing it since I was I've been releasing music since I was like 14 years old. And I think once people started to understand that, that's when I truly felt like it was like my big break, because people were like, oh, okay, this isn't like a one-time thing. You're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. And I don't know, that's kind of how when it felt like that. It wasn't like just one moment, but also just like the first time I was able to perform those songs and it be live, and the first time I was able to actually do a show since like the world shutting down, and like actually
Yeah.
having 10 times the amount of fans and listeners and all of that with not playing a show in 2 years has been very weird. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's been incredibly wonderful, and just I've been having the best time ever. So I think that every single time I play a show, it's like feels like my big break. I'm just like, this is just so much different than I could have like expected it to be, and so much has happened in such a like weird time period that I'm still constantly trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, and speaking of weird times, yeah, the last 2.5 years have been just a blur, and it's been so hard to tour and do things. You're out on the road now, which is fantastic. Looking forward
Yeah.
to seeing you when you're coming through my city in September. So we'll be able to say hi in person, which will be great. So tell us a little bit about the tour now that things are starting to reopen again.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this tour. I've never done a headline tour. I've never really headlined outside of Nashville, which is so weird. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited to just be able to curate an entire night based off of like what music I want to play, and like being able to play a set longer than 25 minutes is so exciting to me. And I'm just so excited to see so many of the people that I've been talking to for so long on social media and all this stuff, and finally being able to like reconnect with them and be able to create an environment for them. And that's never been in my control before. I've always been like, okay, I have to show up and I have to get the crowd amped and then I have to go home. And that's been my gig for a year now. And so being able to really go in and be intentional with the songs and with the timing and with the like everything in between, and is just so excited. I could not be more excited, and I'm just so lucky to be able to be doing it. And yeah, I can't wait to see everybody who's coming. I'm so
So
excited.
so do you have? I'm so excited for you. Do you have any pre-concert rituals?
We've gone back and forth between so many, because we would every single night, sometimes if I was in like a horrible mood, if we just drove 7 hours overnight to get to the show 30
Right.
minutes before, and I was like, nobody talk to me. I don't want to do anything. I was like, just going to sit here and then go on stage. But then there was other nights that we would always do like sea shanties, which was so funny to me. Um, my yeah, I just have like we like literally would listen to like sea shanties in our green room, and everyone would be walking by and be like, "Who are these people? Like, why did we bring them on this tour?" And that was always really fun because it was always very weird and confusing to everybody else.
Yeah, nothing like a good sea shanty and a beer to get everybody in
Yeah,
the yeah,
to get you ready
yeah,
for the show.
yeah, to get you in the mood. What is something that you must have on tour that we wouldn't expect?
Huh. I mean, this might be a weird thing, but I always have to drink pineapple juice on stage. I don't know if that's like a normal thing or not, but pineapple juice is like supposed to like help you if your throat gets like if your mouth gets too dry and stuff when you're singing, if you're
Yeah.
jumping around a lot. And so I that's like the one thing that's like on my rider that I like have to have on stage because it's the only thing that really helps me. But I also bring like my like a neck massager with me. I have one that you get like from Amazon, and I plug it in the green room, and everyone can get like back massages during the show because we were in a van for so long that it was just horrible on your body after a while, and so
Oh yeah.
we try to find random ways just to make ourselves feel better. And yeah, that was one of them.
I don't think fans realize how hard it is being on the road. They think it's this glamorous thing, and I mean that is just it's a hard life. You know, it's all about getting on stage and performing, but what you have to put your body through in between all of those shows,
Yeah.
man, you know, it ain't easy.
It's not easy. Yeah, we had so many nights where we would be leaving the venue at 11 or 12, driving 7 hours overnight, arriving at the venue 30 minutes before sound check without sleeping. Like it we did, and then just doing another show with no sleep and then doing the
Yeah.
same thing again, driving 10 hours. And on like looking back, I'm like, whoa, those are the best times. But in that moment, all I can remember is one by one every single person getting like a cold, and then one by one every single person, and you just can't get healthy. You just kind of
Yeah.
have to like dig your toes in and be like, come on, we're either doing it or we're not. I really do love being on the road, though. I'm somebody who could definitely live doing that and probably will be for the next 5 years. So
Oh yeah,
I'm glad that I feel that way.
you could live life out of a trailer, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I love hotels. I love like if I had I think there's a standard of like a good tour bus and stuff like that, but if I had like a tour bus, I would be thriving. I don't know if I could do the van thing forever. I don't know if I
Yeah.
want to do that.
The cargo van thing is tough.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
tough.
like,
Yeah, yeah. If you could
not
get the
that.
totally pimped out trailer, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like it's basically like an RV that you can just travel around the country with, and you're like, okay, this is fine. I can do this.
Yeah, yeah, nice. Who's the one person, Charlotte, that has significantly influenced your music thus far?
Ooh, I would have to say if there's like I would have to say like Katy Perry. I think that like Katy Perry for me over her entire career, she was like just wanted to be a songwriter at first, and she like just could write really good songs and like her stuff when she was like 18 years old before she even signed a record deal was like
Right.
so good, and she just wanted to be like she was just like a rock star kind of, and I think that then she just like the one of the boys album is one of the best albums, and like it just so incredible and was so important to me and still is, and then she did so much of the pop stuff and just dominated like pop music,
Yeah.
and I think that she is such a good example to me of like just somebody who is just a songwriter at their core and but can have such a massive career. And yeah, I think that's just like been something that's really important to me is just being like her songs are so good but the choruses are like incredible, and I think I'm always so inspired by that. I'm always so inspired by being able to have just like a really good story and like really really good quality lyrics that like mean something and that you can play it on guitar and that song is still it's incredible, and like that's what I strive to have all the time. And I think that like with all of her songs you can play any single one on guitar and it is like incredible, and I really respect her, and I think that sonically she's just a 10 out of 10.
Okay. So I think it would probably not be a big leap for me to say that she might make it on the collab wish list at some point in
Oh
time.
my god, I would lose my mind. Any of those women that's like Pink and her and like Kelly Clarkson, like that truly was they were like, I want to be that. That's literally my entire childhood was I would listen to like folk music with my parents and then run into my bedroom and be like Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson or Just a Pill by Pink, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would just be listening to that stuff and being like, they are like rock stars, you know, they're like female rock stars. This is so cool. They don't care what anybody thinks about them. And I was just, it really like
Yeah.
influenced who I was as a person.
It's the perfect embodiment, those artists and those songs. It's the perfect embodiment to me of angst and strength
Yeah,
and still just incredible great ear candy, and and just songs that make you want to sing along and the lyric.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Even when the lyrics are so, you like look back, now I look back at some of those songs and I'm like, ooh, this is like really dark.
Yeah.
And I was like 13-year-olds being like, you're just like a pill. You know what I
You're
mean?
right.
And it's so funny to now just look back and be like, but I love that. I love that. Like they
Yeah.
had these shows that they were singing these heartbreaking songs that they wrote, but everyone was having the best time
The
and
best
didn't
time of
even know.
their life, right? Yeah, yeah. When I'm at concerts with my wife, it's so funny because I'll watch the audience. Of course, being in the business my whole life, and always, not just listening and being a music lover and loving it, but I'm always,
Yeah,
also looking at all these other things going on. And when I see fans singing songs that have a lot of angst or are really personal and very deep and visceral, and they're singing them and they're smiling, and me and my wife will
yeah.
sometimes laugh and we'll be like, I'm not sure they even know whether they're aware of what they're singing yet.
No, it's 100%. And it's just, I think that's so important that I think there is something about having songs that can be really dark or deeper than like the surface, but having them feel really light. And
Right.
it kind of is like, in my mind, like I have so many of my songs like that people are like, I had a no good, really bad, messed up day. And I'm like, and we're just jumping around and having the best time. We're literally singing about having a bad day. And it's so funny to me though, because it really is just like this feeling of being like, oh, like we're having fun while knowing that this is how we feel. And that's kind of
Right.
what the music is. Like, it's like it's being able to enjoy yourself and make light of emotions and situations because you know that other people are feeling it too. And you're kind of like,
Right.
we're all in it together. So it doesn't matter. And that's what's so exciting about it is everyone's going through it. And but like if we're going through it together, it's like it can be fun and it can be
Right.
enjoyable. And I love that so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of what you're doing in music for me is like what how a comedian takes pain and turns it into something funny.
Yeah.
And in fact, most great comedians, most great comic routines has come from a place of torture
Yeah, absolutely.
that they somehow have, remixed and reinterpreted into this funny thing, but it came
Yeah.
from a place of pain originally. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
I completely agree.
Speaking of fun, okay, we're gonna now it's time to get into the sandbox, Charlotte.
Okay. Ready.
We're gonna do a thing called best funny crazy, and this is kind of like a lightning round, and we're gonna get to know you real good from this. From the funniest thing that's happened to you so far on tour.
Um, that's a great question. Oh, when I was opening for the main and our last show, we all put blue wigs on. My entire team put blue wigs on and ran on stage during their last song and their song with me. And everybody up from my team sang with them for the entire song. And they didn't know what was happening and they got so scared. And they thought that all these fans had ran on stage during their show and had no idea that it was my team, which is hilarious.
Nice, nice. Okay, what is a special or unusual skill that you have that we don't know about?
Um, I can open like 10 beer bottles in my arms with like a bottle opener. I used to like when I used to bartend and I would have to open like a ton of beer bottles in my
Yeah.
arms and then I could open them on my neck as well. So
O
I could open like a ton of beer bottles in one time.
okay, you have to be invited to every one of my parties moving
Yeah,
forward.
come on, I'm
That may be
ready.
that may be the best unusual skill response I've ever gotten to that question. I like that. I
I'm
like that.
proud. My mom's
Al
gonna be really excited listening to this.
alrighty, here we go. Okay, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Pizza or burgers?
Pizza.
Football, baseball, hockey, or basketball?
Football.
Ooh, you took some time to think about that
I
one.
know.
Workout junkie or couch potato?
Couch potato.
Movies or books?
Movies.
Live or lip sync? Like the way I slipped that one in there?
Ooh, that was good. Um, Live.
Okay. Junk food or health food?
Health food. Doesn't go with any of my other answers, but
Yeah, yeah. The health food with the couch potato. That's interesting.
that's my entire personality.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. You lay on the sofa and Netflix out and
I
have a
feel great.
nice yeah, and have a nice healthy Java salad or something.
Exactly.
Flying or tour bus?
Flying.
Okay. But we unless it's the pimped out tour bus, which we talked
Unless
about
it's really
earlier.
nice
Yeah, yeah.
photos. Yeah.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Okay. After a concert, party or crash?
Mm. I would say I want to say party, but recently I would say crash.
It's hard to be a professional.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sometimes you get to party, but honestly, when you're doing what you were talking about earlier, I mean, when you're in, when you're touring and you got a different show to do every single night,
Yeah.
you got to take care of yourself. You just can't go out and party every night after a show. You got
Yeah,
to
I
do the,
can't lose my
you got to
voice.
be responsible. You got to do the show and get to bed.
Yeah. No, it's horrible.
Right, right. And you got to rest the throat. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay, here's some fan questions. What's the craziest thing that you've ever done?
Craziest thing that I've ever done. That's a great question. I don't know what level of crazy people like want. Um, I would say I would say in Nashville, this is not a smart thing, and I also don't think that anyone else should do this. But the river in Nashville is called the Cumberland River, and my one of my friends jumped into it once, which was a really bad decision, and so I had to jump in after her to just be a good supportive friend. But it ended up pushing us like 2 miles down the river, and we couldn't get out. So we ended up like 2 miles away and had to like walk all the way back soaking wet. And I will never forget that because all I could think about was my mom being like, "You did what?" the whole time. So
I
yeah,
won't.
rivers are moving faster than you think. So don't jump in there.
Yeah, yeah, they do. It remind me when I see you in September to tell you my kayaking story, but I won't bore you with it now. But
I'm going kayaking on Saturday, so I'm now terrified of
okay,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. My wife and I, we almost died, but it was
No
a great,
way.
but it was a great trip, and
Yeah,
it made for a great story.
here we go. Look at it now. You're telling it. It's great.
So yeah, be careful.
Uh,
Okay, someone wants to know your favorite makeup item.
Favorite makeup item. I would say you're gonna be like, what is this? I would say like lip liner, lip gloss. I don't really care. I don't really like things on my face. I'm always just been somebody who touches their face way too much. So if I can do nothing and then only wear like lip something, then I'm good to go.
Okay. All right. Someone wants to know, do you get free stuff yet? And if so, what is the best free stuff you've gotten?
I get free stuff yet. That's so funny. Honestly, when I was at Bonnaroo this last weekend, and it was like I feel like it was like the first time anybody asked me like come to one of like their shops, and I went to one of their shops and they gave me this really nice jacket that's really cool. Has all these patches and stuff on it that I really
Nice.
love. But I'm not somebody. I don't really get free stuff. Like I don't really have like brand things. I don't know. There's not like I don't like work with like brands right now. And so I was like really weird about it because I was like, no, please let me pay for this thing. And they were like, no, just take it. And I was like, I can't. This is not like me. Um,
Oh my
but
God,
yeah,
that's
no,
so
that's
sweet.
like it's so weird for me. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, Please just take anything you want from my closet.
Yeah, well, get used to it. I'm sure the avalanche is going to come your
Yeah.
way. It's one of the perks of the business, and if it's a product you love, then it's great. You're helping them too. So yeah,
Right.
Charlotte, this has been fantastic. The
Yeah,
the
thank you.
track Dress is phenomenal. We are looking forward to so much more music, and we're looking forward to seeing you out on the road.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I've had so much fun.